The Laws of Money. Anyone Can Become Rich. Yves Mallet by Jeffrey Lord. Introduction. We all dream of success, of financial independence and wealth. These aspirations reason by awakening us, the deep desire to realize our ambitions. Yet often these themes remain shrouded in mystery by the fear of fully engaging on the path of our personal prosperity. To begin our reflection, recall a following expression. The poverty, whether real or felt by the lack of money, often originates from two main causes. The first is our negative attitude towards money, which can lead us to fear to doubt our ability to accumulate it or to believe that it reduces our freedom. This vision engenders unproductive behaviors in the management of our finances. The second cause consists in our reluctance to take responsibility for our own prosperity and to work actively to improve it in the youth. We can convince ourselves that it is always time to save and progress in his career, but this illusion is eroded with age, particularly towards the 40s. Too often we hear phrases such as, "I was born poor and will die poor." That reflects only a deliberate lack of effort to improve his financial situation. Let's be frank. Money offers power and freedom. It opens the voice to adventure, allows us to realize our dreams and help others. If a person disposes low resources, can sometimes help an abandoned animal or a sick child. An affluent person can run whole schools for disadvantaged children or open animal shelters. With money, we have the power to change the world. Thankfully, it's never too late to learn how to manage your finances. Right now is the perfect time to start, is right now. The path to prosperity and financial freedom is open to all those who are willing to take charge of their future and are willing to work to achieve it. In this audiobook, we will explore why you haven't accumulated a great fortune yet, demystify misconceptions about money and laugh about it, proven strategies for building wealth together. Let's explore how you can become a millionaire. Chapter 1. Cultivating a positive attitude towards money. Taking responsibility. Finance. Let's take a fundamental point. It's you who shape your financial destiny. Whether you believe it or not, this awareness represents the first step towards greater prosperity. No one else, neither your parents, nor your partner, nor your boss, nor the state, or any magician can shape your financial reality in your place. You alone decide how you earn to save and invest your money. This also applies to healthcare, relations with banks and authorities, as well as to the proper tax filing. Of course, you can consult experts and advisors, but in the end, you are the ones who make the decision. The world is sometimes tumultuous. Financial markets fluctuate. Conflicts between nations erupt, natural disasters and epidemics occur. However, even in these chaotic moments, some people adapt and remain prosperous. What is their secret? They take responsibility for how they react to its challenges, is the crucial point. You have control over how you react to problems and changes. Where everyone sees problems, some see opportunities. For example, when the stock market crashes, many could panic and sell all their shares. Of others, on the contrary, find an opportunity to buy cheaply, confident that the courses will rise in the future. You decide yourself how to deal with the different situations. You can choose to be overwhelmed by the challenges or face them at the same time. You are responsible for your success, whether you are aware of it or not. A successful career, blossoming relationships, financial stability, or even your health are the result of your attitude and your efforts. Some progress faster than others. Do not compare to them. Compare to yourself instead. Reflect on how far you have come and what you have achieved. To achieve financial prosperity, accept these two fundamental convictions. Your final situation can be improved. You, the power and duty to bring about change. The next month flows from the current month. To feel responsible for its future, it is useful to realize the link between these two life strands. Often we idealize the future and underestimate the present moment, forgetting that the future depends on our actions today. This may induce us to yield to short-term temptations because we do not fully realize the long-term consequences of our actions. Imagine how your current choices will influence your future well-being. In its fascinating bestseller, The Instinct of Will, How to Strengthen Your Perseverance and End Procrastination, Kelly McGonigal offers various methods to connect to its future month. Try this week too. Get closer. The first technique is to create a memory of the future. Neuroscientists at the University Clinic of Hamburg-Eppendorf have demonstrated that visualizing planned events and creating the memory that you want them to leave incites your brain to consider more concretely and immediately the consequences of your current choices. The more you make the future tangible, the more you are inclined to make smart decisions. Can you imagine a future where you have acted wisely and successfully to achieve your goals, or a future where you suffer? Consequences of inaction. Imagine your future in detail. Visualize your emotions, your appearance, your pride, your gratitude, or your regrets about past decisions. How your finances will evolve in a month, in 6 months, in a year, in 2 years, in 5 years. Imagine that you benefit from your savings, interest, from your investments, and an increase in your professional or entrepreneurial income. Another approach is to communicate with your future self, to get yourself written an email to be sent to your future yourself at a later date on the website futuremi.org. Take this opportunity to think about what you will think in the future of your current choices. Express your hopes and describe the actions you take today to realize your aspirations. By imagining how you perceive yourself in the context of your current decisions, you consolidate. What do you think your future month will say about you? How do you imagine your future in return? Imagine how your future will look at you. What actions of today will thank? Psychologist H. Hessner Chieffield of the University of California says that even a brief reflection on what you would write in such a message can strengthen your connection with your future. Visualize yourself in your future ideal to engage in change, or imagine the consequences of inaction by looking into the future. By considering the details of your life and the emotions that accompany it, you strengthen your motivation to act today to shape this desired future. Setting goals and developing projects now that you have understood the importance of taking responsibility for your financial life. Let's move on to the next stage on the road to financial success. Setting clear goals and planning for their achievement without a defined destination. It is impossible to achieve the result, so developing a clear vision of how much you want to earn over a given period makes life significantly easier, but this is only the beginning. It is also crucial to determine how you want to use this money and what standard of living you aim for. Long-term goals must be stable. Constant changes lead to confusion and hinder progress. By jumping from one goal to another, you waste time and energy. Focus on your goals and make adjustments only if circumstances require you to increase motivation to achieve your goals. List the pros and cons of achieving your financial goals to visualize what you can gain and lose. Combine disappointment with the idea of not achieving your goals by imagining the negative consequences and the pleasure of achieving them by imagining a positive outcome. Most people focus too much on the how and forget the why. However, those who succeed focus 90% on why. It's essential to ask yourself regularly why you want to achieve your goals, because these reasons drive your motivation. When you are motivated, find ways to achieve them. Desired future is also set an ambitious overall goal that will motivate you to overcome obstacles and become stronger. When challenges threaten your daily actions, a great goal gives the determination to persevere. They widen your horizon, push you to explore unknown paths, to acquire new skills, and establish new contacts. Obviously, long-term planning is indispensable. Your plan must contain concrete steps to achieve your financial objective, whether it is a certain level of income, the acquisition of a property, or the achievement of a specific quality of life. According to Bodo Schiffer, a renowned author, and speaker in personal development and finance. To reach its full potential, you have to give 110% of your effort to a task. By focusing on 100%, you often reach 80 to 90%, but aiming for 110%, you achieve everything 100%. This requires a total commitment and willingness to make an additional effort. Here is a practical step-by-step exercise to set clear and inspiring financial goals while integrating other aspects of your life. Step 1. Identify the areas that matter to you, such as finances, health, relationships, personal development, and sense of life. Step 2. Define a time frame for your financial goals, whether they are short-term or long-term. Step 3. Concrete and precise goals, avoiding generalities. Step 4. Visualizing your goals in their entirety by focusing on the positive emotions they will give you. Step 5. Break your goals down into achievable sub-goals and determine the actions needed to achieve them. Step 6. Developing a written plan that integrates all areas of your life. Step 7. Regularly checking your progress and celebrating your successes. By integrating your financial goals into a holistic vision of life and focusing on their achievement, you can chart a balanced path to prosperity. However, to accelerate your progress, re-examine your limiting beliefs and strengthen your internal support. Overcoming limiting beliefs, negative beliefs, and fears related to money acts as internal barriers hindering financial progress and negatively affecting the perception of money. To get rid of it, pay attention to the following exercises. Exercise 1. Evaluate your willingness to increase your income and prosperity. To identify your limiting beliefs in money, think about the amount you could earn per year. Now add at least 10 to 15% of this amount. How do you now feel uncomfortable, tense, or other negative emotions? If yes, why then increase this amount gradually by 1.5 times, from triple to 5 times, by noting the feelings and thoughts that emerge. This exercise highlights difference between your financial aspirations and your deep-rooted beliefs. Maybe you want more money, but basically you doubt your value in achieving wealth, or you fear that you will have to sacrifice your time and your interests, or even fear the desire that your financial success could arouse. Another example of negative belief in money is that it corrupts nature and represents the source of all the words. Change begins from within. Examine in depth your limiting beliefs about money and try to transform them before undertaking the steps to improve your prosperity as presented in this audiobook. Exercise 2. Identify your beliefs about money and wealth to spot your negative thoughts. Beliefs about money. Take a pen and paper. Listen carefully to the following assertions and note the one who reasons with you. Money is a source of misfortune. The rich are loved only for their money. Money makes feel lonely. My money disappears quickly. We have always lived in poverty, and we will stay there. Money believe people. Money offers many opportunities to do good. It is easier for a camel to pass through the hole of a needle than for a rich to enter the kingdom of God. Great wealth can be acquired only by fraud and dishonesty. If I win someone from it, the other loses. It's not the money that makes happiness, but love and friendship. Now think about all these beliefs about money and think about how it influences your life. You can divide them into 2 groups, those that are constructive and those that are limiting and harmful, preventing you from achieving your well-being. Luckily, it is possible to change its beliefs and its ability to accumulate money, which can transform life. The beliefs are influenced by the strongest emotions and have a major impact on mental health. Exercise 3. Transform for your beliefs about money. Identify 3 negative beliefs that you want to change. Reflect to their origin and their impact on your life. Then ask yourself the following 5 questions from Bodo Schaefer. 1. Why this belief is wrong in certain circumstances. 2. Was the person who gave me this belief easy? 3. What are the emotional, financial impacts if I don't give up this belief? 4. How will it affect my family? And Loved ones. 5. Will my life be better if I change my mind? How will I feel? Answer these questions for each of the beliefs you have chosen in order to initiate a positive change in your relationship to money. Wealth. There is another category of belief related to self-esteem and ability to earn money. These are statements such that money is not made for me. My ancestors have lived in need, and I will follow the same path, and I do not deserve the wealth that also need to be treated. You can use some of the techniques described in the previous subchapter, but a sure way is simply to pay more attention of energy and confidence to your strengths. Let's look at exercise 4. Why can I achieve financial prosperity quickly and easily? Divide a sheet into 2 columns. In the left column, write the weaknesses and opinions that prevent you to achieve wealth. In the right column, write the positive strengths and beliefs you have about yourself by answering the question, why can I achieve financial prosperity quickly and easily? What was easier for you? By what did you start this way? You will know if you have had a negative or positive approach until now. Focusing on these weaknesses makes it difficult to achieve prosperity. It is like playing not to lose, but you have to play to win, to live fully and enjoy life. What makes you rich are your strengths and your positive attitude towards money. Note your strengths and reread the list regularly. With time and you recognize more and more. Financial advisors also recommend cultivating the following qualities to accumulate a fortune. Discipline and self-control in money management. Building a fortune requires unfaltering perseverance despite obstacles and temptations. Healthy curiosity and an openness to novelty. Continually learn, whether in your professional field, financial opportunities, or new financial instruments. It is also beneficial to find a mentor, someone you can observe and with, whom you can exchange ideas. You will progress much faster by benefiting from experience and advice from others. If possible, choose a mentor who has a fortune at least 10 times greater than yours, and who can also motivate you and give you an objective assessment of your actions. When meeting in person to overcome negative beliefs about oneself and about money, try to overcome these 3 big misconceptions about prosperity and wealth creation. 1. Consider income growth as the key to prosperity. Many people think that income growth is the key to prosperity. A widespread error. Parkinson's law, which states that spending increases with income, reminds us that when our income increases, our spending follows the same path. Regardless of how much we earn, our spending often adapts to reach all our income, or even more. Over time, we get used to living within our means, or even beyond. Most of us tend to spend every penny, and even borrow or use our credit cards to fulfill our desires. The misconception is that an increase in your labor income will be enough to solve all your financial problems, including debts. However, we need to distinguish between consumption and wealth creation. 2. Think about consumption rather than profit. Too often we think about money only in terms of what it allows us to buy short term, yet it is equally important to think about how we can make it grow. Let's take an example with 200,000 euros. We decide to spend it to buy a car. However, this car quickly becomes an extra expense with its lot of repair, insurance, and fuel. Instead, we could have invested this money rather than buy a car we probably do not need. We could have earned 1,000 euros interest in the first year and much more, thanks to investments in stock and compound interest. This reflection should be present whenever we consider a large expenditure. The more we save and invest, faster we will accumulate. Substantial capital consumption consists of spending money to satisfy short-term needs or pleasures, such as luxury holidays or products. On the other hand, building wealth involves regular savings and investments to create long-term wealth. Prosperous people are distinguished by the ability to manage their money wisely, to invest it wisely, and to think long-term. Individuals like Warren Buffett, who have become rich on their own merit, adopt early habits of saving and regular investment. His sense of financial management is one of his most remarkable characteristics. Buffett, the renowned investor, expressed his investment philosophy memorably by declaring that his approach bordered on lethargy. It implies that Buffett and his company did not buy a limited number of shares that he kept long-term. He devoted large sums of money to the few really significant investment opportunities and refused a large number of opportunities that were simply good. 3. Expecting sudden or short-term wealth. In reality, it is only long-term savings that really is profitable. Most wealthy people invest their money so as to obtain an annual return of about 8 to 10%. They do not seek to get rich quickly or use miracle methods. On the contrary, they show patience and discipline by extending the investment, their money, over many years. They avoid risky bets, quick wins in favor of a cautious and thoughtful approach. That's how their wealth increases year after year. You are now mentally ready to access a higher financial level. Now let's move on to practical steps that will help you achieve your goals. 1. Eliminating ballast is the first step towards financial freedom. Debts generate interest that over time can become a considerable financial burden. 2. Saving is essential to ensure financial security. An emergency reserve can also help cope with unexpected expenses and protect against financial crises. 3. Reaping savings through investments to build long-term prosperity. Saving must be invested wisely. Choosing investments that grow over time is the key to building a heritage. In the following chapters, we will examine each of these steps in detail and see how to put them into practice to achieve financial security and long-term prosperity. As Benjamin Franklin said, there are 2 ways to be happy: reduce your needs or increase your wealth. The most savvy is the one that makes the 2. Dear listeners, if this book, please remember to subscribe to our channel, to like and put a comment. We strive to offer you books both informative and captivating. Do not hesitate to share them with your friends and to share them with us in the comments of the topics you would like to explore in the future. Your contribution is valuable. Thank you for your support. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the new books and participate in the draw of gifts. Interesting. Chapter 2. Reduce your debts and adopt a reasonable consumption. In France, statistics on the use of credit vary according to age and other demographic factors. For example, according to a recent study, about 30% of French adults reported having used a consumer credit during the year 2021. In the age group of 30 to 50 years, this figure reaches almost 35%. Of more, about 2/3 of the French said they had used credit at least once in their lives, indicating a relatively widespread use of credit among the French population in 2021. About 14.4% of Germans registered in the Chufa database had a consumer credit, and in the 25-60-year-old age group, this figure was about 20%. Other surveys show that about 3/4 of Germans took credit at least once in their lives, not counting credit card payments. Compared to the US, where debt is often considered a culturally accepted aspect of daily life by Germans, the French seem to take a more measured and cautious approach to credit. But why do countries take different approaches to credit, especially when it is mainly consumer credit? And why should we favor the prompt repayment of these credits rather than taking them for longer periods? Money gives us the freedom to do what we want to do in the direction we choose. Credits, on the other hand, create a temporary illusion of a good life. They give an impression of increased freedom of opportunity, which are in reality often ephemeral and misleading in some way. Debts are comparable to a drug on the face of it. They offer the possibility of funding certain lifestyles, but in reality, they are obstacles. They limit your freedom of decision, make you nervous, depending on unappreciated but necessary activity, and decrease your motivation. Navigate between instant gratification and long-term goals. People have a genetic tendency to favor immediate rewards rather than long-term benefits. Enjoying a burger, smoking a cigarette, or succumbing to pleasures of all kinds provides instant satisfaction, while the benefits of a healthy diet or regular physical activity are gradually felt a famous experience illustrating this phenomenon is the marshmallow test, also known as the marshmallow test by psychologist Walter Michael in the 1970s. Children were faced with the choice between eating a marshmallow immediately or waiting to get several later. The results showed that most children opted for the immediate reward, but some managed to resist the temptation to show better academic and social results later in life. This propensity to favor the short term over the long term also manifests itself among adults, especially in their bad financial habits. Although conscious of the long-term detrimental effects of indebtedness, many are those who persist in taking credit and giving in to impulsive spending. And under unnecessary, the incessant quest for immediate gratification, major challenge in financial decision-making and debt management. However, it is necessary to put the objectives and sustainable well-being before the ephemeral impulses and illusion of freedom offered by consumption on credit. The apparent ease offered by credit, whether it is a mortgage of a student loan or a purchase on credit, often proves to be misleading. If financial obligations such as mortgages or student loan are sometimes unavoidable, consumer credit turns out to be complicated. The Babylonians of antiquity were familiar with the dangers of credit. They frequently practiced borrowing to obtain funds, but this is often a form of enslavement. Despite the financing of large construction projects that embellished ancient Babylon, borrowings could only live an average of 3 years in slavery. What is striking is that more than half of these slaves were in fact enslaved due to unpaid debts. Psychological effect of debt. Among the adverse effects of debt, one finds not only the brake on economic growth and the risk of bankruptcy, but also financial stress, the impact on mental health and interpersonal relationships. The debt seriously undermines the motivation to progress professionally and financially. The recourse to credit to maintain a comfortable lifestyle in the short term undermines the desire to prosper in the long term. Several reasons explain this phenomenon. First of all, many people realize over time that they cannot move forward in life with negative net wealth. They begin to question their motivation and their prospects. Then the expectation of future reward for current work reduces the motivation to work. One is more inclined to gratify oneself before accomplishing the task of more deliberately acting against these internal values, such as contracting consumer debts that one knows already misguided diminishes the confidence in oneself. This loss of self-confidence then limits the motivation and the ability to act. A large part of the motivation to act on the conviction that the situation will improve in the future. We are therefore working on a strategy to become experts in this field. However, a person in debt has neither the time nor the motivation to follow such a strategy. It is constantly absorbed by immediate problems simply because they have become urgent. By taking a credit, we invest in things that will only be lost with future income, or these anticipated income can be compromised by unforeseen events. Practical advice to eliminate debts. The first decisive step on the way to building an asset is therefore to control your debts. This step will improve not only your financial stability, but also your mental health. Here are some practical tips that can help you reduce your borrowing. Be clear about starting to reduce your debt. You need to understand your financial obligations. Make a detailed list of all your debts, including credit cards, loans, mortgages, and other commitments. Note amounts, interest rates, and monthly payments. Then establish a repayment plan. Prioritize your debts based on either the interest rate or the debt mountain principle by starting with repaying. A lowest amount debts of the concrete objectives and a repayment schedule for each debt must help you do so and then reduce unnecessary expenses. One of the most effective ways to free up additional funds to repay your debts is to review your expenses and reduce those that are. It may seem paradoxical, but before you focus entirely on reducing your debts, it is wise to set up a small reserve fund. This financial cushion can cover unexpected expenses, and you avoid resorting to new borrowings in case of need. We will come back later on how to set up emergency reserves and on the amount to allocate to it. Botifer already mentioned proposes in this respect the 50% rule. On the money you can save, use 50% to pay off your debts and save the other 50%. So you can both reduce your debts, make a fortune, strengthen your financial awareness, and create a financial reserve for the unexpected. Negotiate interest rates with your creditors, especially if you have good payment habits and are willing to negotiate lower interest rates, can significantly reduce the total cost of your debt. Consider generating additional income to speed up the repayment of your debts. This may involve taking a part-time job, becoming a freelancer, finding creative ways to increase your income, or selling items you no longer need. Timothy Ferriss's concept of autopilot revenue is based on the idea of not relying only on traditional employment of 9 to 5 and on income derived from work, but rather on the development of sources of passive income. These sources can include the sale of online courses or the dividends of investments. Once these sources have been established and optimized, it generates a flow of income even in the absence of active activity. This allows to benefit in the long term from its income, while having free time for other activities. The intelligent debt is useful in some cases, especially if it allows to obtain lower interest rates, but make sure that consolidation does not encourage you to take new steps towards debt reduction, requires discipline and persistence. Stewardship. Stick strictly to your debt repayment plan, even if it's difficult. Reward yourself with small steps to maintain your motivation. The most effective way to defeat debt is to build assets. This aspect will be discussed in the following chapters. We invite you to share your experience that you have already put into practice, certain strategies to eliminate borrowing, or that you are ready to express your advice to get out of debt. Share your successes and challenges. Your stories will inspire other listeners and help create an atmosphere where everyone is free to express their thoughts. Adapt a healthy attitude to debt. Our decisions and financial action often stem from deeply rooted beliefs. By changing these beliefs, we can also change our financial behavior. Taking a positive attitude towards debt is a crucial step on the road to financial freedom and prosperity. To begin, let's question certain beliefs by answering these questions. What would be the advantages if I did not have debt? Financial freedom, reducing stress, or being able to pursue my long-term goals? What beliefs have led me to debt? The importance of social image, or the search for immediate comfort? What would be the disadvantages if I had not borrowed? Restrictions in my current lifestyle, or fears related to my reputation? After analyzing these questions, review your beliefs and patterns thinking, and if they hinder your financial health, developing a new perspective on debt and consumption. Considering debt as a barrier to financial freedom. Face your long-term financial goal and ask if every action brings you closer or further away from that goal. When making financial decisions, already consider achieving your financial goals and savoring the rewards associated with it. This can give you the motivation to resist short-term temptations if you already have debt. Here are some tips to improve your mood. Manage the situation more calmly, and thus reduce your debts faster. Find ways to live a satisfying life despite the debts. Accept temporary limitations and look for the positive of your situation. Remember that your worth as an individual does not depend on your financial situation. Cultivate your self-esteem and focus on your positive qualities. View your current financial situation as a valuable lesson. Identify what you can learn from this experience to make better financial decisions in the future. Focus your energy on paying down your debts rather than on self-criticism. Draw inspiration from the examples of famous people who have overcome their debts. Stories like Bodo Schäfer, a millionaire and financial coach who found himself heavily indebted in his youth, shows that it is possible to get out of the debt. Even in difficult financial situations, Stay motivated and keep your long-term financial goals in mind. Avoid impulse buying and unnecessary expense. It is undeniable that traders, online shops, organizers of training events, and service providers all share a common goal to get our money. They exploit our natural inclination for immediate satisfaction in order to sell us products and services that we often do not really need. We are attracted by attractive offers of discounts and advertising tricks, and we succumb to such temptations as the takeout coffee, whose smell is much better than taste. Share some tips to avoid impulse buying. 1. The rule of 3. 0 minutes in the face of an unwanted temptation. Take some time before acting in a store, hour during which you divert your attention may be enough before making a major purchase. Take a night to think. This will allow you to evaluate the long-term consequences of the acquisition and make an informed decision. 2. Don't give in to commercial pressure. Sellers want to convince customers that their product is in very limited circulation and that the price will increase. Resist this pressure by asking you precise questions about your long-term objectives and the real utility of the purchase. 3. Resist the social pressure. Don't let yourself be influenced by current trends and fashion to buy things that you don't really need. Stay true to your financial goals. 4. View rewards when you're tempted to act against your long-term interests. View alternatives and rewards you'll get by giving up on immediate satisfaction. 5. Express your project to VO. Conduct an outside dialogue. Talk about your decision aloud to better consider it. That will force you to think about your choice. 6. Anticipate hunger and thirst. Impulse purchases are often related to thirst or a sudden urge. Take cash or drinks with you to avoid unnecessary expenses. 7. Make a shopping list before you shop. Make a list and keep due. It will help you focus on what's really needed. 8. Establish a financial plan to monitor your revenues and expenses. Set clear budget targets. 9. Note all your expenses. Keep a journal of your expenses. Will help you better understand where your money is going and identify areas where you can save. 10. Use cash. If you tend to pay by card, use cash instead to limit impulse purchases. 11. Create a pleasure account. Open a separate account for pleasure spending and set a monthly limit. Commit to spending only the money in that account on non-essential things to meet your needs while avoiding unnecessary expenses. Explore practical and economical alternatives rather than buying goods that you only use from time to time. Consider borrowers, which will save you money while having access to the necessary items. Likewise, for non-essential but still useful goods, such as furniture or everyday appliances, favor buying second-hand to benefit from more affordable prices without compromising quality. Finally, do not forget to take advantage of the free resources at your disposal, such as the loan of object among friends or the so-called swap exchange of items like clothes or everyday objects. By adopting these alternatives, you can rationalize your expenses and maximize the value of each euro spent while maintaining a balanced, healthy financial chapter. 3. Mastering the art of saving, identifying the obstacles to saving. The next step to prosperity is learning to save, yet saving may appear one of the most difficult financial habits to take, often overlooked by many individuals. But why so many people do not know how to set aside money? A widespread misconception is that one will earn much more in life, and therefore it is not necessary to save now. This way of thinking is based on the assumption that higher income automatically leads to higher savings, yet reality often shows the opposite. In general, the more one earns, the more one spends. The art of saving requires a conscious effort of clear financial goals and a solid plan. Another obstacle to saving is fear of financial restrictions. Many mistakenly think that saving means giving up the quality of life and the pleasure. Actually, save does not necessarily mean giving up, but rather making smarter financial choices to get rid of bad habits and set motivating and sustainable goals. Skepticism about long-term benefit also constitutes a barrier to saving. Hesitate to put money aside, fearing that the long-term effects of saving are minimal. It is true that the mere fact of investing the same money at a relatively high interest rate is often not enough to compensate for the effects of inflation. This leads one to think that saving is useless. However, many neglect the possibility of investing money wisely and taking advantage of the effect of compound interest. And intelligent investment, with a return of more than 10%, can generate a considerable profit and minimize the effects of inflation. Overcoming these thinking patterns is a crucial step on the way to financial stability and independence. In the following paragraphs, we will see how to make saving a habit worth avoiding the common mistakes that lead to failure. Often fail to save because of the following two mistakes. We try to setting aside too much money at once and trying to save at the end of the month. One of the most common pitfalls in saving is wanting to set aside a large amount of money at once. Although it is worthwhile to aspire to save a large part of this income, this may not be viable in the long run. Saving only 10% of your disposable income and, more realistic, this 10% usually goes unnoticed and does not significantly affect your quality of life. But higher percentages, like 15 or 20%, can lead to significant restrictions and prevent you from achieving your goals. Saving it is wiser to gradually approach this objective by manageable steps and gradually increase the amount saved. Another common mistake is to save what remains at the end of the month. In many cases, this translates into low or even zero savings because often there is not much left. Instead, it is better to adopt a reverse approach, allocating a share of the income for the future from the beginning of the month, before paying the current expenses. Effective technical saving. That is how George Clayon, the author of The Richest Man of Babylon, formulated a crucial principle for financial success. Pay yourself first. This implies save a portion of your income, at least 10%, before you spend anything else. By automatically transferring a fixed percentage of your income to a savings account as soon as you receive the salary, you protect your savings before it is absorbed by current expenses. In this way, you make sure you have already saved a set amount at the end of the month. The automatic transfers will help you maintain this financial discipline. The 10% set aside often do not make much difference on a daily basis and do not require a significant sacrifice on your lifestyle. Another accumulating tip is to save at least 50% of each salary increase when you are promoted. Transfer half of the extra amount directly to your savings account, so you can take advantage of this increase while building up your financial situation more quickly. Financial experts often recommend that self-employed workers whose incomes are variable depending on orders pay a fixed amount to a separate account that they consider as their salary. This amount covers monthly expenses and any surplus can be saved. The pay-first principle is an effective strategy to guarantee your future financial security and establish a solid basis for long-term prosperity. Manage your expenses. One of the secrets of prosperity lies in questioning your own needs. If your lifestyle pushes you to spend more than what you need, gaining financial independence will always remain a distant dream regardless of your income level. A reasonable approach is to carefully examine your current expenses and look for ways to reduce them. As we already mentioned in the previous chapter, it is possible to save more by adopting a more thoughtful consumption and questioning or abandoning certain consumption habits. A savings account, perhaps of great help to overcome these harmful habits. David B. calls this the latte factor. Imagine that every day you spend money on coffee, sweets, unhealthy snacks, tobacco, or a bottle of beer. Instead of spending this money on things that are not good for health, you could deposit it every day in a savings account. First, at the end of the year, you will have accumulated a considerable amount of money that you can use for holidays or other important purchases, but it's even better to invest this money so that your finances continue to grow. Secondly, You get a visible and tangible reward for giving up a bad habit. This reward is a strong motivation to adopt a healthier lifestyle. This approach not only guarantees your financial future, it also strengthens your self-esteem, your confidence, and your well-being. At the moment, in the previous chapter, we discussed the benefits of budget planning. It allows you to understand clearly your monthly expenses and their allocation. By including a goal of savings in your budget, you can determine the amount of money you can set aside each month and identify the types of expenses you can reduce to increase your savings. If saving is a priority in your budget, you will thus have money to save and invest. Organize your budget plan clearly using separate columns. Identify first the different categories of expenses, such as housing, food, and leisure, and then evaluate your current level of expenses for each category and determine the desired level of expenditure. Plus, define the amount you want to set aside to save to ensure sufficient financial security, and include this amount as a separate category in your budget. By putting the numbers and key points in the column, you will be able to clearly visualize your expenses, identify areas where you can reduce costs, and define concrete savings targets. Protect your savings. The effect of compound interest. At first glance, it may seem that saving does not bring much benefit in the first years, but if you take advantage of the compound interest effect and invest your money wisely, you will see your capital increase impressively over time, exceeding inflation. However, take advantage of the compound interest effect requires a basic understanding of investments. You have two options. Or you familiarize yourself with the basic principles of the investment. Either you are looking for a reliable investment fund that manages your money professionally and exploits the compound interest effect to your advantage. To choose the appropriate form of investment, answer these two questions. 1. How often do you want to double your money? Divide 72 by the annual interest rate, and the result will give you the number of years needed to double your investment. This method will help you identify the types of investments and interest rates to look for. 2. What is the amount you are aiming for? Determine your savings objective, i.e., the amount you want to save. Then calculate the number of years needed to reach this objective based on the amount of time you have already saved, and expected return. To make an appropriate investment decision, carefully assess your financial objectives and have a realistic perspective on your investment horizon. Accumulating savings through the effect of compound interest is a long-term financial stability pillar with even the potential to surpass inflation. So allow the role of compound interest to be played and consider it an ally in managing your finances. Chapter 4. Ensuring long-term financial success. Establishing an emergency reserve. Why do you need an emergency reserve? An emergency reserve is comparable to a financial safety net. It allows you to meet unexpected expenses, whether it is a medical emergency, car repair, or sudden unemployment. Without a sufficient emergency reserve, such situations can quickly lead to financial crises and jeopardize your long-term objectives. You are not only alone, responsible for yourself and your well-being, but also for your family. This reserve is specially designed for emergency cases and should only be considered when all other financial possibilities have been exhausted in the meantime, made as if this money were not available. The constitution of this reserve is one of the main objectives of saving. You can also consider it in another way. The saving gives you the possibility to leave the job unannounced if the situation requires it, and to live it for a while without financial pressure. To look for new opportunities. With this money, you have the chance to make a new start. It helps build your confidence and sense of security. It helps you focus not only on your financial future, but also on the current quality of life. What should be the amount of the emergency reserve? Financial experts recommend that your emergency reserve cover at least 6 to 12 months of your living expenses. You thus have enough room to cope with unexpected expenses without compromising your long-term savings goals. It is, however, important that you adapt the amount of your emergency reserve to your personal situation. Also, Take into account the members of your family that depend on your financial resources, especially if you have children. How to build an emergency reserve. Set clear goals for your savings. First, determine how much you need to cover your living expenses for at least 6 months. To get it, determine your basic monthly expenses, such as rent or mortgage, food, household expenses, transport, insurance, taxes, credits, alimony payments, communications, and other expenses. If your family members depend on you, also take their needs into account. Multiply this by the number of months you want to cover with your savings. Create a separate account for the emergency reserve, so it will be easier not to use the emergency reserve money for other purposes. And keep it available in case of unexpected expenses. Use automation to regularly transfer money to your emergency account. This can be done directly from your current account or your main savings account. Give priority to building your emergency reserve first. Feed your emergency reserve too before setting yourself other long-term savings goals. Building an emergency reserve is the first step towards financial freedom. It helps you become financially stable and build a strong base. Once this base is established and your financial situation is settled, you can start building up savings outside your emergency reserve that you can safely put away in order to live from the interest of capital. Other form of financial protection in addition to the emergency reserve. Also consider other forms of financial protection, such as investment in health to avoid high medical costs in the long term, insurance to protect you against unexpected events. This includes, according to your needs, health insurance, liability, and this will carefully planning the crucial retirement to ensure financial security and adequate quality of life in retirement. Most people are covered by legal pension insurance, which offers a basic guarantee for retirement, but which often may not be enough to maintain the usual standard of living. Of many French employers offer their employees company pension schemes, enjoying tax advantages in the aim to ensure a supplement to retirement income to fill pension gaps. Many individuals invest in private retirement savings products, such as PERPs, Popular Retirement Savings Plan, or Per Pension Savings Plan, that benefits from tax advantages, shared dividends, investing in rental property, and other passive income sources are also means of generating additional income in retirement. Given the complexity of these decisions, many people call on financial advisors to make the best decisions adapted to their personal situation. You are strongly advised to define financial objectives from the outset and to regularly check whether statutory retirement benefits and savings are sufficient. Chapter 5 of a successful investment. When and why start to invest. Countless fortunes of millions or even billions were created thanks to the capital increase by the investment. Note the profits of the shares consist of the increase of prices and dividends. The dividend shares can offer stability and income in the long term. It is often said that the French are reputed for their propensity to save, but we are ranked among the last in terms of real and profitable investment. Unfortunately, many people expense even the basic rules during their first investment experience and are disappointed as a result. The objective of this book is not to inform you about all the subtleties of the stock exchange. There are many books, video courses, and training. We will, however, list the essential principles whose non-compliance frustrates many investors inexperienced as to the usefulness of this instrument to make their capital grow, the most important condition before turning to compound interest or buying shares. You should save a little. Make sure you have enough liquidity and not be indebted. Never buy shares or other securities on credit. Additionally, never invest your capital in stock to ensure your financial security. Adopt the mentality of successful investors to avoid frustration in the investment process, which can involve trial and error development. The following qualities and skills: understanding market cycles on the stock market. There are periods of prosperity and difficult periods. A decline is usually followed by an increase. Trusting historical change, You will better understand the functioning of the market. B. Thinking long-term. Only invest money if you are willing to invest it for at least 2 to 5 years. Avoid short-term investments if you might need money quickly. Be patient and let your investments grow over time. Avoid overreaction. C. Only evaluate your investments at the time of sale. You will only suffer losses if you sell shares when their value has dropped. Maintain your strategy and do not be influenced by short-term fluctuations. A practical principle for investing. Since the stock market is risky, it is essential to be well-informed and to develop a long-term strategy adapted to your financial objectives. This strategy should be based on the following principles. A. Diversification of investments. Spread your portfolio over at least 5 to 10 different CAs, maximum in order to minimize the risks. Opting for companies from different sectors and countries. Do not put all your eggs in the same basket. B. Investment in dividend shares. Prefer companies that regularly distribute dividends. They offer not only income, but also long-term stability. C. Seize opportunities in times of crisis. Buy shares when the markets are in crisis. This requires strong nerves, but perhaps reward in the long run. Experts recommend investing only a part of your savings in stocks, and always keep a reserve available for possible stock purchases. Avoid borrowing money to invest in stock. Only put at stake the funds you have already earned, up to date before your decisions on information and data, rather than on emotions. Trust your knowledge about the companies in which you invest. Let emotions that fear or greed dictate your choices. Stay true to your strategy and make rational decisions. Avoid blindly following the mass. Don't conform not to the general trend. Most investors suffer losses because they don't follow the right principles. Make your decisions based on an in-depth study conducted by experts. F. Fundamental analysis. Before investing, we'll study the essential data of companies. Analyze revenue, profits, debt, and other key indicators. For companies with a long history, it is interesting to learn more about their past and their stock performance. Understand what events led to their fall, whether it is changes in the global market, of strategic errors, or scandal related to their product. Losses, and protect your capital. Determine at what price you will sell your shares if their value drops or increases. To prevent possible financial losses, you can invest in shares yourself if the following conditions are met. First, you have enough unborrowed equity to buy and sell shares. Remember that if you opt for individual investment, only a part of your funds should be invested in shares. Plus, this share should be large enough to allow you to buy at least 5 different types of shares. Secondly, you have strong nerves. You must be patient enough to see your results. Investments grow over time. Avoid overreacting and not giving in to panic in case of crisis. Do you have the resilience to not sell your shares during sharp price drops, but also to consider buying back eventually? You have the time to monitor the share prices. Consider if you are ready to regularly follow the courses, sometimes several times a day, or at least several times a week over a prolonged period. The process should also give you some pleasure. We encourage you to share your thoughts on how you can adopt a technique described to your personal situation. Your experience and your ideas can inspire others, so do not hesitate to let your comments below. Explore the action funds. The world of investment can be compared to a horse race. Each wants to bet on the potential winner. But as in a horse race, the outcome on the financial markets is often unpredictable. Companies once considered winners can suddenly fail, and discreet outsiders can become real champions. This uncertainty makes the choice of a suitable investment fund a decisive task. A good way to spread the risks while taking advantage of the success of many companies is to invest in index funds. These funds reproduce the securities of many companies and offer a wide diversification. To choose the right investment fund, take into account several key criteria. First, safety is paramount. Analyze the history of the fund to ensure its research and reliability. In a fund that offers long-term growth, study its performance over several years and compare it to the market average to evaluate its performance. Also, examine the historical performance of the fund under different economic conditions to better assess its potential. Learn about the fund managers and their experience. Make sure that the management team has a successful history in this area. Familiarize yourself with the fund's investment strategy and check whether it is suited to your financial objectives. Some funds focus on specific sectors, while others are more diversified. Consider also countries and economic sectors with promising growth potential. Examine the diversification of the fund's portfolio because adequate diversification reduces the number of funds risks at the same time. Evaluate your risk tolerance. Some funds may be more volatile than others, so choose the one that fits your personal preferences. Finally, carefully examine the fee structure of the fund. High fees can significantly affect your return, so favor funds with reasonable management fees. Essential advice for equity investors. Equity fund investors are subject to essentially the same behavioral recommendations as those who invest directly in stocks. Equity investments should aim mainly for long-term value. Be patient and do not panic in case of unexpected market fluctuations. Avoid constantly checking your balance sheet to assess your profits or losses to date. The investments require from the fund time, so let them grow. Stock markets go through ups and downs. Take advantage of declines to buy cheaply rather than panic. Invest only money you can do without for a while. Trust fund management and experts. Managers use their experience to identify opportunities and invest optimally. Build your portfolio with regular investments to take advantage of average costs. Don't try to find the time because no one can predict it in the long term. Spread your money over 3 to 4 different funds to reduce risk. However, keep your investments in the same funds until you reach your investment goals, at the time or less, until 5 years have passed. Chapter 6. Increasing your income. Setting financial goals. After learning to save and invest, increasing your income will really mean a growth in your financial wealth. If you aspire to a pay increase, the first step is to set yourself a clear goal. How much money you want to earn and when it can exceed the income you currently receive from your main job or business. In recent years, planning for a passive income has become very trendy. Consider your work not only as a way to earn money, but also as a beneficial contribution made to others by your work. You do not ask for money, you create it by. As a creator, think about your passion. How do you excel? How can you help others? What can you offer them? Useful products and services, positive emotions, valuable knowledge, essential information about hard-to-reach products and services. Otherwise, a feeling of security and confidence, or perhaps a feeling of comfort and cleanliness, beauty, reliability, or tasty and healthy meals and drinks to satisfy hunger and thirst. Answers to these questions will allow you to see your work from a different angle and perhaps discover a new field of activity. If you have already faced the need to review your finances and set new financial goals, we would be delighted. Share with us the way you did it and the results it created. Your story can inspire those looking to set solid financial goals. Don't hesitate to share your thoughts in the comments. Key elements of financial growth. Career success means growth in many directions. Grow as a specialist. Continually improve your skills. Keep up with industry trends. Imagine the niche you want to occupy as a specialist in 3 years and work with perseverance to achieve that status. Communicate effectively and establish close links with your customers, colleagues, and partners. Define a target group of potential customers and find ways to reach them. Work on your own and your positioning. Learn how to introduce yourself and your skills and products. Draw attention to you by writing articles on specialized sites, by speaking at conferences or launching a blog. Set aside time in your schedule to improve your skills in these areas. Do not hesitate to take breaks to avoid burnout, but continue working towards your financial independence. Many think that professional or entrepreneurial success depends on complex skills, but practice shows that it is more effective to simply focus on finding your narrow niche, your products, your services, your customers, and improve there. Focus on work that generates income or on the tasks for which you excel. Sell and delegate the rest. For example, if you are good at developing concepts and content plans, but less skilled at design, delegate design to maximize performance and increase revenue. It is imperative to be discerning and not burdened with the whole initial process, is to clearly define your objectives and priorities, and then evaluate the activities according to their relevance to the achievement of these objectives. If an activity does not contribute to this objective, it must be prioritized, eliminated, or entrusted to another. Activate the law of attraction. Always consider finding new sources of revenue. You can sell objects that you have kept for a long time and think worthless, or start. Make money with your hobbies. Teach a foreign language. Organize bike rides in your city. Produce a video course to teach programming. Over time, more and more of these sources will appear if you pay attention to it, if you start saving money and rejoice when your account balance increases. These emotions will change the money of a kind of energy that will attract more money into your life, and on your account, it will be easier to see the opportunities to earn extra money. Bry Tracy, a successful coach, not world-renowned, in his books, shares an anecdote where he finds himself with no money, forced to sell his house. He and his wife had to move to a house that he rented at that time. His wife asked him to give him $10,000 from the sale. She then placed this amount in a bank account that Brian did not have access to. Despite the financial difficulties that followed, she refused to touch this money. Since then, their financial situation improved dramatically. Each week, every month, opportunities presented. All the bills were settled, and they experienced a series of successes in just a few years. They were able to leave their modest apartment and buy a property, magnificent house in a prestigious neighborhood. Passive income strategy and their implementation. Investing regularly in stocks or funds can allow you to live on interest from your capital without having to work hard. Your money works for you. You don't get rich from the money you earn, but from the money you save. Keep increasing your income until you have saved enough to live on interest. However, there are sources of passive income that can help you no longer work 5 or even 6 days a week. Here are some ideas on how to generate passive income. Each niche you are interested in requires analysis and thorough preparation. Sale of products and digital information. The creation and sale of digital products, such as ebooks of online courses, of the audio products or software, are popular ways to generate passive income. Once created, these products can be sold online without requiring a permanent physical presence or delivery. With proper marketing and the provision of valuable content, these revenue sources can generate long-term stable profits. Affiliate marketing. Another possibility is to advertise other companies' products or services as an affiliate partner. If someone buys something through specific affiliate links on your blog, you receive fees. In this way, you can get passive income by recommending and selling other companies' products. The choice of relevant products and precise targeting are decisive for the success of affiliate marketing. Site member and subscription. Creating member-only pages or subscription service can generate regular and recurring revenue if users pay monthly or annual fees to access exclusive content or services. A stable revenue is generated. It is important to continually offer added value to make membership attractive and retain long-term customers. Automated online store. Creating an online store with automated processes can be a good way to generate passive revenue. You can sell physical products or digital goods without having to manage or personally ship them. A professional e-commerce platform and efficient logistical processes are then essential to meet customer needs and set up trust. License and royalties. If you have special skills, you can license your works, such as music, art, or software. You can thus derive revenue from the use of your works. By DA, the protection of intellectual property rights. and collaboration with partners interested in your works are important steps on this path. You can also consider selling your photos or your music via image banks. Rental. Investing in assets such as real estate is another way to generate passive income. Rental income can allow you to obtain a regular income without forcing you to work actively. In conclusion, passive income strategies offer fascinating possibilities for those aspiring to financial freedom and to a richer life on all levels by investing wisely in fund actions or exploring other passive revenue sources such as selling digital products, affiliate marketing, online subscriptions, automated stores, licensing, and rental income. You can gradually build a revenue stream that works for you even when you are not actively working. However, every avenue requires analysis and preparation. You do not have to have specific and complex qualities or skills to become rich. Commitment, patience, and perseverance are enough to succeed in creating passive income. Ultimately, diversification and the continuous search for new opportunities are key elements to maximize returns and achieve your financial goals long-term. By implementing these strategies with diligence and discernment, you can get a little closer every day to financial freedom and the realization of your dreams. Conclusion. Congratulations on having successfully read this audiobook and being now better prepared to take charge of your financial future. Let's pause for a moment to reflect on the main lessons we learned together. First, you understood that a good attitude is the cornerstone of financial success. Taking responsibility, setting clear goals, and overcoming limiting beliefs are important steps on the path to financial independence. After you discovered how debts can limit your financial freedom and the importance of reducing them, the art of consuming with moderation and avoiding impulse buying are important. Strategies to correct your financial trajectory. Now you know that saving is a key factor on the way to prosperity. We examined why people often neglect it and how to develop a good attitude towards it. The effect of compound interest and put forward as a powerful tool for wealth creation. We also discussed measures that make you feel safe. The various forms of financial protection were presented as fundamental for your financial security. We plunged into the universe of investment, highlighting the urgency to start early. We have dissected the mentality of successful investors and demystified the practice of investing. Among the many avenues explored, the action funds have emerged as an option for diversification and long-term growth. The most essential is that the importance of clear objectives to think useful, and the law of attraction has been emphasized. Passive income strategies have also been highlighted in order to show you how to effectively understand. Grow your wealth. Do not forget that there is no quick success, but that financial freedom requires efforts. Be patient, persistent, and ready to learn. You have the tools to achieve your financial goals now. Use the knowledge gained, apply smart financial practices, and take the role of your financial future. You have the potential to become financially independent and lead a dream life. Take the path. First step towards your financial freedom, and be proud to have taken responsibility for your own assets. Thank you for listening to this book. May your financial successes allow you to live a rich and full life. Dear listeners, thank you for listening to the audiobook, The Laws of Money. Everyone can become rich. Yves Mallet, we hope the book has liked you and enriched your experience. Do not hesitate to express your opinion by leaving a comment and a like, and sharing this experience with your friends. We will continue to offer you new books of personal development to stay informed of our future publications to our YouTube, Telegram channels, and other social networks. Find all the relevant links in the description of this video. Again, thank you very much for your continued support, dear listeners. We hope you liked this book. You can listen to the full version of the book by following the link in the description. If you want to participate in the sweepstakes of nice gift, subscribe to the channel, click like, and leave a comment under the video.